Welcome everyone to this new video. Today I'm going to show you how you can edit this blue hour photo and how you take it from this to this photo. Alright, so first I would like to tell you what I want to improve, then I'm gonna change the photo and try to see if I can create what I have in mind. So what I don't like too much about the photo right now is that the colors are not so blue anymore, not as what I've seen in my camera, and that all have to do with a color setting I will show you later on. What I also don't like too much is are the letters here. I think it's a little bit too bright, so I would like to see if I can decrease the highlights here a little bit. What I also want to do is to create a little bit more of a color contrast. Something that's very nice of a blue hours is of course the blue you see in the sky, but if you can combine that with warm tones, like, well, you see some warm tones of the street lights here and the bridge, but I would like to see more warm tones in the building. And the advantage of having the color contrast is that in general the photo looks way more appealing when there is a good color contrast. So that's also what I want to improve. Last thing I want to change is the left bottom corner. I couldn't position my camera in a different way, so that's why it is here. So I already knew it in advance, so I want to get rid of it. Maybe I'm going to crop the photo. Maybe I try to use a tool to just to make it disappear. And the last thing I would like to change is, you see a reflection here of a building. The building is only a little bit visible here. It's a very bright building with a big banner, promotional banner, so I don't like the building too much. That's also why it's not in the photo, but there's a little bit of the reflection left. So let's see if I can get rid of that also. So let's start. First of all, I would like to check the color. As what I said is that in the camera the blue was better visible than it is right now, and that has to do with the profile here. Now it is in Luminar default. That's what happens when you open the photo in Luminar. It applies the default setting, but if you go back to your camera setting, and I think my camera was in landscape, look at this, is already a big difference. Also the contrast increased by this change, so the sky is a little bit bright. I would like to try camera deep, that's vivid. I think that is a better match for this photo. Well, let's try the landscape and check if I can decrease the highlights here a little bit. If not, if it doesn't look nice, if the contrast is too big, I'll change it to the camera deep. So to adjust the highlights, you can go to light here, and the highlights slider is over here. Well, as you can see, you can decrease the highlights, but it also gets very ugly here on the right side. I don't like that too much. I also think the colors are a bit too much, so let's change the color setting to deep. In general, deep has a higher vibrance and a higher saturation, but in this case, in this photo, not. So I like it better in this way, and I don't want to decrease the highlights too much, because this cloud doesn't work very well, and now with the highlights -12, the brightest part is already gone. So let's continue. I can open up the shadows a little bit, but I don't want that, don't want to do that too much, because it's really gonna look like an HDR photo. That's not what I want to achieve. I really want to show that it was an early morning, that it wasn't so bright, that there was not so much light yet. So to me it is not a big issue if a small part of the photo is underexposed, or at least here in the boats. So I only opened up the shadows a little bit, and maybe later on I will make a local adjustment, but that's for in the end. So I don't want to increase this because it makes the sky brighter again. Maybe later with a local adjustment I will brighten up the building a little bit more to make it more, to make sure it gets more attention in the photo. The blacks I don't want to decrease it because that will, then you will lose more details in this part. So for the light I am happy so far. I'm gonna check what I can do with the color temperature. The sky was like this. It got the pink purple color. If you think it's too much, you can always decrease it with the tint. I just play around a little bit to see what happens, and the same for here for the temperature. And I just look at a photo. I don't look at the slider. I don't look at the value. That's not important. The most important thing is how it's look in the photo itself. I think I like it like this. It's not a big change compared to what it was. AI enhance. Well, I actually think it does a pretty good job. Also because it makes the reflection in the water a little bit more bright, so I like it. Let's see what the AI Sky Enhancer can do for us. Also, this one does a pretty good job. Probably you can get the same result with a gradient filter, but if it works like this, it's even easier, of course. So yeah, much better. So I have to say the AI enhance sliders, they are quite powerful in Luminar. So it's a very easy way to improve your photographs. AI structure, also a new slider in Luminar 4. I really like this slider, especially for cityscape photos, because the slider is smart enough to detect in this photo the building and the boats, but it doesn't do anything with the water and not too much with the sky because there is not so much structure. So yeah, really nice that Skylum made this improvement to the structure slider. Let's zoom in a little bit to see the result even better. Well, as you can see, it does something in the sky, but that's only where the clouds are. So that's fine, as long as it takes the borders of the clouds and not the plain parts. And also here in the building there is structure, and also there you can see a slight difference. So I like the result. The colors. Vibrance in general has a good result, but I think for this photo I don't want to emphasize the blue even more. I think it is already pretty nice, so I don't want to change that. So that also means I'm not gonna add saturation, because that also adds saturation in the sky. I would love to add saturation in the warmer tones, so let's do that in this part, because that's the part where you can have more control over the colors. So the warmer tones are on the left here, so let's crank up the saturation a little bit for the warm colors. This one does a pretty good job. So now it's a slight difference. It's not huge, but it's emphasized the warm tones a little bit more. So I think it has a good result. Detail enhancer. Also this works pretty well if you want to get more detail structure in, for example, a building. So let's see if we can increase that a little bit more. So now it's in 26. Turn it off and on to see the difference. Also, this has a slight improvement. It's not huge, but it doesn't have to be huge. If it is a huge difference, it's also very likely it doesn't look natural anymore. I don't want to increase the details in the large details because that is going to influence the sky. I don't like it too much when the sky has too much structure, but I know there are a lot of photographers out there that love it to see the details in the clouds. But for me, I like it better when it looks a little bit more fuzzy. Sharpening, of course, also good to apply. Always zoom into 100 or 200% to see what those changes actually do to your photo, because if you don't do it, it is really impossible to see. Well, for cityscape photos in general, you can add quite a lot of sharpening. It really depends on the type of photo you have. Also landscape, nature landscape photos and sharpening goes pretty well. But you have to be careful for white lines, and actually I can already see it here, for example. Let's see if I can show that better. Look at this. You see here there's a white border, and that probably has to do with the sharpening. Exactly. Now it's in 26 and the white line is gone. If I put it in 60, there is a white line. And if you see this in a photo, then you know it is too much. So make sure that line is not visible. So don't add too much sharpening and really zoom in to see what's happening to your photo. Alright, enough details. Noise, I'm not really worried about noise since I took this photo in ISO 50. Sometimes the edits you apply can create some noise, but I have to say with the AI structure filter, it is less likely that it is gonna happen, and I don't see noise in a photo that I'm really worried about. So I don't add denoise. If you do it and when it's not needed, it makes the photo less sharp. So don't apply it with the thought, if there is some noise, it will be eliminated by the slider. That's true, but if there is no noise, it makes your photo less sharp. For landscape, there are different sliders, like the golden hour slider. Well, this is the blue hour, so then you have to be careful with this. There was some warm light here, and well, actually I have to say it doesn't look bad at all, because what it does a pretty good job in only improving the warm tones. As you can see, the blue is still there. It's not a mix now of blue and a warm tone, it's still blue. And actually I have to say I like it, because it also increased the color contrast right away. So I think I will keep it like this. Foliage enhancer, perfect for autumn photos. For this one, let's see what's happening. You have to look at the green tones. There are not so many green tones except for this part. It is autumn here in Rotterdam. This photo is taken in Rotterdam, but most of the leaves are already in the ground. I don't like it too much, a little bit. And dehaze, it's not really needed for this photo. Then we have the vignette. I want to apply a vignette maybe to get more focus in the center of the photo. The only thing I want to stress out is that it is better to crop your photo first and then apply the vignette, because that's in the end what I want to do. I want to get rid of this and let's see how I can crop this photo. So I would like to keep the original dimensions. So that's the 3x2, or just keep it here in original. The reason is because I think I can keep it without having this part, and also because it's an easy size to print. So if it is a strange size, it's always it is possible to print, but usually they have to make adjustments to the process, because it's not a standard size for them, and in general it's also much more expensive. So for me the most important thing is to leave this part out. I also don't like the left side too much. It doesn't really add something to the photo. The really one thing I want to keep is the reflection of the house, the white building, and the reflection of the boat is not completely here anymore, but I don't mind too much, because for me it's not really about this reflection, it is about this reflection. Still there is some sky left on the top, so I think I will keep it like this. I also crop out the reflection of the bright building here on the right side, so I think I really like it like this. And also this part, like the part from the boat, I just miss it now. So let's apply this to see if it's really the way I want to go. Yes, I do like it. So let's keep it like this. And let's go to the vignette now. So if you apply a vignette, usually it takes the center of the photo as your subject, but the subject is of course not in the center of the photo, although this bridge is also a nice element. So I can pick a different subject, so I can say, okay, no, this is the subject, and I click here, so the building and the reflection is included. So it shifts basically the vignette more to the right. That also means that the bridge is gonna be a little bit darker, and honestly, if I see it like this, I don't see that as a big issue. Maybe it is even nicer because the light of the bridge is even getting more attention. And as what I said before, like, I don't want to crank up the shadows too much because I really want to make it look like an early morning photo, and I think with this atmosphere you can still feel that. Let's play around with a feather. In general, I like it when it's a little bit in the plus. Roundness, I can make that a little bit bigger. And the inner light, but I don't like it too much now because it also influences the sky, and it's already quite bright over there, so I keep it like this. Alright, what else we can do in this photo? There are some creative filters. I don't want to use it for this photo. Portrait filters, not needed of course. And the advanced contrast filter is a filter I like in general, so let's see what we can do. I don't like it too much, it makes the water too dark for me. The highlights, I don't want to do that because it may, in the end, you see, you even lose the contrast a little bit. And for the shadows, well, that's the same story again. I can brighten it up, but I don't like the atmosphere, the feeling or the mood of the photo anymore, so I prefer to keep it dark. So I don't use the advanced contrast. I'm happy with the sky, so I don't have to use the adjustable gradient. Color enhancer, no. Actually, I'm pretty happy with this photo, and I think we cover all the things I wanted to improve. I wanted to get rid of the left corner, it is gone, and the building, the reflection on the right. The main subject feels more warmer, so as you can see, we came from this, we go to this photo. It is a quite big improvement. There's more detail in the sky, and yeah, I think I will keep it like this. So that's what I wanted to show you. One more thing before I stop. I see one more thing, and it's one thing I also mentioned in the beginning. I want to decrease the highlights here in the building. So let's work on that as a last step. So how we can do that? I go to Dodge and Burn, and I'm gonna paint. How I'm gonna paint it? I want to make it darker, and one very important thing is to decrease the strength. If you do it in 50 or higher, you'll see a big difference right away, so I keep it very, very low. The size also very small, because the letters are quite small compared to the building. And I am gonna paint the letters and also this little light bulb. And I go over it multiple times until I'm happy, and this should improve the photo a little bit. The letters, they are very bright. I just want to make it a little bit better. So, well, at least you can read the A and the L now in a better way. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to erase a little bit, because as you can see, there's a light bulb, but the sky behind the light bulb is a little bit darker now. So it's not only the light bulb I selected, but also the sky behind. Yeah, like this. Alright, I press done. Let's check the whole photo, and this is the result. From this to this. Thank you for watching this Luminar tutorial. If you want to see more, please leave a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help you. And thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bye bye.